Testing. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Renison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live from the Workers' Rights Network. Today being the 9th of June, 2024. Now, the purpose of this broadcast here tonight at 8:14 p.m. is to highlight a very important matter in which, and by the way, good night to everybody, and to our viewers, thanks for tuning in. Now, as you would have seen on the screen initiating this message, don't let our Prime Minister play with our safety. The reason for us saying that is this: we would have done an extreme amount of research as to the process in which they would have went through as to select Gary Griffith as the Commissioner of Police in Trinidad and Tobago. A process that was done on June 30th, 2018. And the rationale for choosing Gary Griffith back then still stands as per today. And because of the team that we would have sit back and did a lot of research as concerning what would have taken place and the analytics behind the selection and what Gary Griffith would have really brought to the table, we, throughout the course of this week, we are going to dive deeply into that topic as to highlight some of the factors that would have taken place there when Gary Griffith was in office, and the plethora of ministers today that you would have seen on the opposite side trying to criticize the hard work of the then Commissioner of Police, which was Gary Griffith, by the way, and the many support he would have gotten in the Keith Rowley administration in 2018 on the 30th of June when this was brought before the Parliament in Trinidad and Tobago. And as I say, this broadcast today is to scratch the surface on some of the events that would have taken place there, and we will start this discourse this afternoon as to start with the introductory part of such, so you could begin to have an understanding that what would have taken place there. But because of the autonomous approach of Gary Griffith, we believe in our understanding that that is the reason why that individual was fired. Now, Gary Griffith, as we all know, at that point in time would have been outspoken on many matters that would have taken place within the public domain, and the list of allegations that would have been taken place underneath his name, in which they cannot prove at this point in time. And why I'm saying that is this: a press release would have went out today from the NTA, the National Transformation Alliance, concerning the arms sting that our Prime Minister would have wanted to lay within the Parliament. And from what I would have seen here in this press release, correcting the campaign of misinformation in the public trust and confident in the TTPS, as well as the injunction preventing the laying of the audit report in Parliament. And when we would have read through this whole thing here that would have taken place, we would have seen a statement in which was issued again from the NTA headquarters, in which An email address have been given, and a list of things. There was 1 to 4 items here that was in the court ruling. The court agreed that the action taken against Gary Griffith was improper. This is the reason why the court granted the injunction acknowledging the wrongdoing. And what we would have seen here from the list of things, as I say, we're scratching the surface today, that Gary Griffith is not afraid of that audit report. I am not saying that because I agree with the gentleman in full, because, come on, nobody is autonomous. There may be action that I may not agree with concerning the said individual that is in question at this point in time. But we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to admit that from that press release that would have been issued this morning was truth and in fact not something that he is running from, but is willing to debate the factor within the public domain. And we would have seen that the Prime Minister who wanted to lay this thing in Parliament is refraining from that. The injunction was not for the audit report to lay in Parliament. Say it on our platform, say it in the news, say it wherever. It was an attempt by Gary Griffith, as I would have seen within my knowledge, as to give the gentleman a fighting chance to defend himself, and not for certain allegations that, how to put it across, that he can't sue or he can't seek recourse from. Because when, I'm sure all of you would have known that anytime you lay anything within the Parliament, you can't sue because they're running under cover from the things that is taking place there. Now, without further ado, with all this big diatribe that's going on here today, I will like to start this thing here by starting it with a video. Right. Now, this video here would have been in this corner here. This would have taken place on the 30th of June 2018, when Keith Rowley, who now disapprove at the help that Gary Griffith would have pledged in several of his videos, he was explicit in what he was saying. Now, concerning this year, in which many members would have agreed upon on that very day as to appoint Gary Griffith to be the Commissioner of Police. And as I was saying, there will be a time that, we were going to ask Gary Griffith, in which he would have never, in the past, would have never denied a chance to explain himself. And we would have seen through this action that he's not afraid of just that. Now, we are going to play this video just to refresh your mind concerning what would have taken place on that day. And during the course of this week, we are going to bring the plethora and the depth of our research to you, as to prove that, as to show you that the response of our Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, which appeared to us to be malicious in turning down the requests of Gary Griffith. Now we are going straight into that video now, just to refresh your mind.
Sittings of this House from July 23rd to August 30th, 2018. Mr. Terence Dialsing, MP, member for St. Joseph, has requested leave of absence from sittings of the House from July 28th to August 4th, 2018. And Ms. Marlene McDonald, MP, member for Port of Spain South, and Mr. Barry Padarath, MP, member for Princestown, have requested leave of absence from today's sitting of the House. The leave which the members seek is granted.
Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers.
Leader of the House.
Thank you very kindly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have the honor to lay paper number 1, the notification of Her Excellency the President in respect of the nomination of Mr. Gary Griffith for appointment to the office of Commissioner of Police. Thank you very kindly, Madam Speaker.
Public business, government business, motions.
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move the following motion standing in my name. Whereas Section 123, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Chapter 101, provides that the Police Service Commission shall submit to the President a list of the names of the persons nominated for appointment to the office of Commissioner or Deputy Commissioner of Police. And whereas Section 123, subsection 4 of the Act provides that the President shall issue a notification in respect of each person nominated under subsection 3, and the notification shall be subject to affirmative resolution of the House of Representatives. And whereas the Police Service Commission has submitted to the President the name Mr. Gary Griffith as the person nominated for appointment to the office of Commissioner of Police, and whereas the President has on the 24th day of July 2018 issued a notification in respect of the said nomination, and whereas it is expedient to approve the notification, be it resolved that the notification of the President of the nomination by the Police Service Commission of Mr. Gary Griffith to the office of Commissioner of Police be approved. Madam Speaker, once again, I take the responsibility to lead this government into this exercise. It has been an exercise which has attracted a lot of national attention for good reason, Madam Speaker. And as a result of that, it has been exposed to a lot of public commentary, public debate as to whether, in fact, on this occasion, the selection of a Commissioner of Police could be had by the end of a long and tedious process, or whether, in fact, we should begin to build a fire service now that the house is on fire. Madam Speaker, let me, for the clarification, take, with your leave, and then crave your indulgence to allow me to clarify just within the perimeter and the borders of this particular institution in front of us, because I know I need to be particular to the substance in front of us. So I promise you I won't stray too far.
Now, back then when our Prime Minister, Keith Christopher Rowley, you hear the statement. Now that bill there was laid in Parliament concerning the application of Gary Griffith, in which they would have zeroed it out. And he him while the house is on fire. So he believed at that point in time that Gary Griffith would have had the necessary skill and expertise as to solve the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago and the status quo as to where that is concerned. Now let us continue with this video.
But for clarification, with respect to the public debate, let me point out how and why we are doing this. Madam Speaker, the last time we had a Commissioner of Police appointed to that post in Trinidad and Tobago was in August 2012. At that time, Madam Speaker, after this same process that we are going through, this identical process, earlier on in 2010, I think it was, in 2010, we had appointed a commissioner of police by this identical process. And I want to repeat that so that those who want to take issue with this process now would know that this is the identical process that was used under law, under the Constitution, to appoint and have in place in 2012 a substantive position held by a foreigner, Dr. Dwayne Gibbs. And Madam Speaker, at that time, the government of the day, many of whom are with us here today, I presume, not all of them, but some of them might be, saw it necessary and expedient to terminate.
Now, to you the people at Trinidad and Tobago, back then, the Prime Minister would have thought it necessary as to debate the factor on Gary Griffith at that point in time, as to bring, was a matter of fact, was decided finding necessary as he being the Commissioner of Police, and would have laid an onslaught of argument for about 2 hours and a half within the Parliament, and that is on record. Now, we would have summarized that whole message as to the press release that would have came out today by the NTA. National Transformation Alliance, NTA, has issued a media release addressing the misinformation campaign regarding the trust and confidence in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the TTPS, during Gary Griffith's tenure as Commissioner of Police. The release stated that under Gary Griffith's leadership, public trust and confidence reached to 59%, but since plummeted to 8% after his tenure. So that is what take place. Now, these are the facts. The NTA also clarified facts surrounding the injunction preventing the laying of the audit report in Parliament. They argued that the court granted the injunction because action taken against Gary Griffith was improper. The release emphasized the importance of the involvement of the leadership in the audit process to ensure accuracy and firmness. So again, what we would have deduced from the statement here is that they were willing to perform an audit without the leadership. Without the leadership. Furthermore, the MTA criticized the political manipulation of the audit process, suggesting that hiring civilians for investigating and producing reports without consulting the leadership undermines the legitimacy of the process. They also questioned the motive behind presenting the audit report in Parliament rather than on political platform through a post-cabinet briefing. So as you see, the gentleman whom we are speaking about have no problem in scrutiny. But what he's saying here, and the gentleman that we are speaking about is Gary Griffith, and what he's saying here is that he have no problem in the audit being made public, but don't do it underneath the cover of Parliament. That is what is being said here. And here we're going on, we have to respect, or we should respect, the wishes of the gentleman. Because any comment would have been stated to the effect that Gary Griffith don't want this audit report outside is a blatant misrepresentation of Gary Griffith, or the wishes of Gary Griffith, because he would have stated here They also question the motive of presenting the audit report in Parliament rather than on political platform or through a post-cabinet briefing. And all of a sudden, the PNM, in which I believe they have the intellectual capacity as to understand the statement that is being made here, that coming out from the NTA. Because for them to say that the motive in laid it in Parliament, it's sounding scrupulous. And why it is that nobody, we know Fitzgerald Hines like to talk. We know Rowley is an eloquent speaker. Because if he could convince you, the members of the public, to vote for him after he shut down or he closed down Petrotrin, after by which he lie and say the government is not closing down Petrotrin, he lie and say that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago lie and say that to you, the members of the public. And he was still able to convince you to vote for him. Or you could understand how good this man is. The NTA urges the public to consider these facts in understanding the underlying issues at play while advocating the deliberate misinformation of those with nefarious political agendas. Those with nefarious political agendas. Why it is, members of the public, that you want to conduct an audit report without the leader of the organization present? One, why it is you want to consider or conduct an audit report and place it in Parliament and not on a platform if you so sure as to what would have taken place? So we must consider strongly as to what Gary Griffith would have said as pertaining to this misinformation campaign that he's alleging. And to add insult to injury, here what we are going to go into. We here have two main parties, PNM and UNC. And we have a system of obstructionism that is taking place on both sides of the fence. When one person raises a debate, the next one try to debate it as a particular point, as to debate it out of existence, argumentum ad nauseum, or they have many filibusters within the Parliament as to prolong debate extensively. So where it is your safety is concerned, we must consider the factor of reinstating Gary Griffith. Whether we like it or not, what we are receiving presently speaks for itself. It speaks volumes as to what is taking place within our society. Chris would have went through certain parts of Trinidad and Tobago and would have exposed certain things in which the police have already known. They feel the police don't know the many gangs in certain areas and why certain things taking place, but they understand that they are on the last end, enforcers of the law. But there is a journey that create criminals. Criminals don't born overnight. There is a process in which criminals are born. And there are people, sadly to say, not sadly, but knows how to remedy the situation. And we cannot put aside the statistics that is in the public domain concerning certain things, because when we would have seen Paul would have decimated Ola Christopher in public talks, we here on the Workers' Rights Platform would have risen to the defense, because we would have known through our experience that not everybody is strong in public speaking. but is able to do their work. There are many people that know how to work, but they can't communicate certain things. They are not witty, they're not quick. And we would have assessed Earla Christopher to be somebody like that because we would have watched all her press interviews and how she would have addressed the public. And she would have always shy away from cameras and things. Her questions are always short. And that don't mean that she is not effective, but watch as to the results of what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago right now. So we, at this point in time, must, as patriots in Trinidad and Tobago, must consider the factor of Gary Griffith be reinstated as Commissioner of Police. Yes, the one shot, one kill thing, yeah, it get to my head, too. If at some point in time that is being considered Gary Griffith, you know, you could stay away from them kind of talk. Trust me. So at the end of the day, as I was saying, we are going to, during the course of this week, we are going to release a lot of information concerning that debate that would have taken place there in Parliament concerning Gary Griffith. And we are asking you, the members of the public, to consider this. Is your home that is being broken into? Is your earnings that is being lost? Because when some of you had to pay for extra guards and security around your home, around your business, your little shop, some of you had to close early. Some of you taxi drivers had to leave early off the road because the high increase of crime in your area, or you ain't taking the chance. Some of you rather leave our money there and let T and Tech send warning notice as to pay a light bill. Yeah. So again, we must consider reinstating Gary Griffith. The public must champion this. So again, thanks for listening, people. As I said, this wasn't supposed to go so long. This is a live that is taking place here, right now. And we urge the many of you as to take consideration for your life and your livelihood, whether PNM or not, as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, as to consider what is taking place within the public domain. People getting shoot up all in hospitals. Crime, the heinous crime, is at an all-time high, and we need something as to curtail the situation that is taking place right here, right now in Trinidad and Tobago. Consider the fact, or consider the possibility, that if Gary Griffith was the Commissioner of Police, as to what would have taken place today. And with that, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, thanks for listening. Share the live. And stay tuned this week. We are going to launch and dive more in depth concerning this whole issue right here on this platform. Thanks very much.